Yay! Hello, everyone. Yay. So excited. I start every interview with a nice yay because I'm so excited to have the guest that I get to have on. Today, it's even more special because you two are considered to be my new friends. I'm so excited to be connected to you. We'll get into how we met and why you're on the show, and then how we're working together and what our intentions are moving forward. But I felt really excited to bring you both on because you're at this place in your life where you have so much behind you, so much spiritual knowledge and wisdom and learning that you've set out to be the teachers that you are in the community here where I met you. But I also know you're in this transition. So I wanted to get to know you more. And this is what I intend for the audience, to share your stories, but also share where you're heading. I think everybody's got the bowl of popcorn and chomping to know, right? So let's get into that. I'm gonna, back off a little bit and let you each speak so we can get to know you individually first and then really collectively because well, let me just say one thing before we start and I get there. I remember the first day we met and I sat between you two, right? So
Yes.
I had the seats all figured out in my session, and I just sat there going, "Oh my God, what am I doing?" Like the intense energy between you two and me in the middle felt so off and so wrong. Once I moved out, I settled back down, and you guys felt like you were connected again. So I think when people get to know you today, they'll feel the same way when we come together. So all right, I'm backing up. Let's start with whoever wants to start. Let's share your little backdrop story. And then, more importantly, finish with how you guys work together.
Okay. Well, I can start. Um, so at this point in life, you mentioned spiritual wisdom, but at this point in life, at 75 years of age, you just gather a certain amount of wisdom just from living and having gotten to this point. And people come to the spiritual path or not through all kinds of roads. I personally was raised traditionally in a Catholic home, and we went to church every Sunday and catechism and all that stuff. But religion didn't answer my questions. I had a question of it just didn't fit their version and what could have possibly created this universe. So as I grew up, I started looking. And one of the places, now this is where the teacher appears when the student's ready. I was in a bookstore in Palo Alto, California called East West Bookstore. I worked for Hewlett Packard and they're in Palo Alto. And at lunchtime, I like to do different things. So I'm in East West Bookstore and I'm just standing there with a friend who was picking up a book. And I wandered around while they were getting her thing together. And I said, you know what, Spirit, I'm ready. And I turned around and my shoulder brushed a book, and it was Autobiography of a Yogi. And I saw his face, Yogananda's face, just smiling at me from that book that had fallen on the floor. And I knew the time was right. And I was probably, I don't know, 30. Oh, Lord, I think I was 33. So you can't make that stuff up. And every day from there, it was just this magical unfolding of a world that I knew existed, but I didn't know how to get there. And so that became step one. And each pebble along the way just kind of was there when I was ready for it. So
Love it.
that's kind of my backstory.
I love it. So many times too, do you hear people with the book in the bookstore and the teacher, and I love all that you said. I've heard so many people say that's how they got that book, or that's opened the door to the law of attraction, or so I love
Yes.
it. So, Jo, what about you?
Well, I'd have to say that my spiritual path really opened. I grew up on an island in Antigua in the West Indies, and my grandfather held court with his grandchildren, taking us outside in the evening to look at the stars. And I remember him pointing out Orion. And I had this, even as I'm telling you the story now, I've got the goosebumps up and down my arms. Looking at Orion on a hillside in Antigua was compelling. It felt like a mystical attachment. And I didn't really know where that was going to lead to, but like Patricia, I grew up in the Catholic religion. And at a point in time, the nuns and the priests couldn't answer a lot of the questions that I had. And by the time I got to college, I was opening up and looking in different directions. And you mentioned about these books that happen. Patricia mentioned Yogananda. Well, for me, it was 1972, and Yogananda came into my life with the autobiography of a yogi. And this was a spiritual master with a compelling story that captivated me. And I've probably read that book 11 times. I call it a desert island book because if you get stranded on a desert island, you want 5 books. That's one of them.
Okay.
But Yogananda explained in chapter 42 all about cosmic, intergalactic experiences, which tied me back to Orion in my childhood. So it opened up teachings that I had not experienced before. And then subsequent to that, Patricia and I met Roy Eugene Davis, who was a direct disciple of Yogananda. He was one of the last 2 still alive. And we routinely visited him in North Georgia. And we studied with him for 7 years. And he told the most incredible personal stories of who he called Master. Mm-hmm. And before Roy died in 2019, he initiated us into Kriya Yoga. And one of the things he said to both of us was, go and teach as Master taught me. And that's the big story, and that's why we're here today.
How did you 2 come together? That's the question because it's so important, in the way in which you guys work together is how you came together. So tell us that story.
Okay, so you know that, or maybe don't know, in the Hindus, they have life divided up into segments. So you have your childhood, you have your earning years where you are a responsible adult. In those times, you're making your money, you're raising your children, that sort of thing. And then as you reach maturity, that is when a person's expected to go on their spiritual path. So we were both in our other lives at that, about the time that we met. And we met online in a writing class online. Before online was a thing.
Yeah.
It was, it was like Yahoo Messenger. I think that was ours. Because it had a little yellow face, we called it Yellow Woman. So we met there, and we exchanged texts with each other. And it started when we were given our first writing assignment, and we just reached out to each other. I liked her story, she liked my story. There was an energy, Jeannie. It was immediate. You talked about sitting in between us.
Yeah.
That existed. And I lived in Colorado, and Jo was in Connecticut, and that existed immediately. And prior to that, we had been at SRF in Los Angeles. We had been to Edgar Casey's ARE in Virginia Beach. We had been places where our paths should have, could have, would have crossed, but they didn't. And Joe's family has a saying, if it's not soup, it's not ready.
Oh,
And it wasn't soup
got it.
until we met in that writing class.
Got it.
And then we started to discover how many, we called them connection alert,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that we had both followed Yogananda, we had taken the SRF lessons in the same way, and we had Edgar Casey, we were both at the ARE in Virginia Beach, and one thing after another, and the similarities, and it felt like we'd always known one another.
Yeah. Oh, I
Yeah.
love this. So it's such
that's
a
how it
great lead in for where we're heading in this interview too, because now we know you guys work together. And so what I wanted to tap into next, I talk quite a bit on my channel about spiritual modalities and the toolbox that we have. And I think as healers, we're never done. We're always expanding, and
Right.
and the techniques that we're using are ancient, but yet here we are in this place that we are today, which is ascending in the new earth and the whole bit. So take us to, and either one of you can answer it or you both can, take us to the modalities that you, I don't need to know all of them because we don't have that much
Right.
time, right? So, and we're
Well-
still learning as teachers, but take me through what you consider to be your toolbox. I mean, I have a sense of what you do for others and how you serve them, but whether it's Reiki or Theta or, take us to your toolbox of what you do to serve others through modalities. I want to get into that next.
Okay. Toolboxes, especially metaphysical ones, are fabulous because they transform themselves as we become more open to the truth of this universe, to the truth of the oneness. And so I've grown quite a bit from where I started, and I started in the healing modalities. Healing touch, Reiki, and quantum touch. And all that does is open you to the one energy, right? There's just the one. And when you really get down to it, there's just the one.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make sense until you start working with it, but then it starts to make sense because it's what it is. It's the truth of what this universe is, that we're all made out of this one thing, this one essence, and it's conscious, and I believe it's loving and embracing, and I cannot put a gender on it because it is just so far beyond any of that, but it embraces us in a way that we cannot possibly fathom. It's just beyond our human experience to be able to comprehend it at all, like putting an ocean into the thimble, right?
Yeah.
That kind of analogy.
Yeah. What about Jo? Jo, what do you have for yours? Do they mirror Patricia, or are they the same?
Not exactly. Somebody asked me once, what do you guys teach? And the only thing I could answer was, I said, we're kind of eclectic spiritual universalists. We have taken 40 plus years of training with mystery schools like the Rosicrucians. We've studied with Hindus, we've studied with shamans in Peru, we've studied with Sufis, the Kabbalah. And what we do is we kind of sift through all of that.
Yeah.
And then let it come out the bottom and take it and repackage it and present it for the 21st century in words people can understand and have it apply to their personal lives or the direction they want to go in. Take the mystery and the mumbo jumbo out of it and just get to the heart and essence of what these teachings are. And at the end of the day, they all teach the same thing. Patricia just elaborated on the one, and it is that. It is oneness.
I think we have a beautiful thread that we're all talking about. That's the same point. And we started by I had the same experience with my religion, brought up Catholic. After I lost my daughter, sitting in the pew going, oh my God, my arms want to come up, but they can't because they just couldn't. I just felt so contained, and not to dog that religion in any way, because I'm still very connected to it. But all these religions have the same oneness to them, don't they? They all have something beyond ourselves. They all have consciousness. They all have serving others and loving self and kindness. And you can put it into any language or any different language. So I think we can all agree, right, that when we're talking about the one, there's not one path. There's so many paths, but it's all to that truth that I think we all are talking about, right? So you're sharing the truth of all and then exposing people to the different modalities. So your toolbox is spreading as
it's varied, and I always say there's no one path up the mountain. There's so many paths going up to the top. And some of them crisscross and some of them spiral, but everybody's going to the same place.
Yeah.
It's just a little different direction along the way.
Love this. Love this conversation too. So this is perfect. So let's get to our next question, which is what do you do and how do you do it together, right? So we could dive a little bit deeper into now how you serve your clients, right? I'm going to call them clients because the people that you serve, there's no, I mean, I have so many words for these people that are out there, the soul seekers in your toolbox, right? I'm thinking of things like your retreats and your meditations and your ceremonies and stuff. So let's go to some of the things you do, because I want to get into your community and I want the people to know how to connect with you and work with you and be part of this beautiful mission that you are to put more light in the world. So either one of you can take that question.
We do work well together because each one of us does something different. And yet, when the pieces come together, it becomes a whole. I'll do a lot of the writing and the visual illustrations, and Patricia will take that and translate it into a meditation practice or a personal practice that supports whatever that was. That I do probably the bulk of the newsletters because I have that in a groove swing. But I think what we do is seamless and it's smooth. And it took maybe about a year or two in the beginning to get into the groove swing because we were both trying to do the same thing. And finally, I think by the third retreat, Patricia, we just said, okay, I know how we'll do this, because she will get too worked up in the technical stuff. And, you know, I'm off on a tangent with quantum physics, and she's, you know, back down to the reality of the meditation supporting that. I said, here's the idea. I'll do the lecture, you do the practice.
Got it.
And that took off and worked beautifully, which is not to say Patricia can't stand up and lecture, because once she gets up there with those meditations and she's leading in, I mean, she's got a rapt audience.
Yeah. Moving on, we have your women's circle for meditation that I've also been able to be part of. So take our audience through this other way that you serve, because that's a beautiful community thing, and that's on Zoom, but also in person. And so I'm sure people, if they're following our channels, they're meditating and they're spiritual and they want to learn more about what you're doing. So take
Right.
us there. How do you serve them this way?
The meditations were really the catalyst for everything. They began in 2006 when it was a January 14th, 2006, the night of the full moon, and 8 women came to our house to do a house blessing. And it was so powerful just sitting in an almost empty house with these 8 women. When the blessing was done and we, had a little potluck after, they said, let's do this again. And we did. And again, and again. And that too, it went out by word of mouth. And in short order, we were trying to cram 35 to 40 women into different homes where we kept rotating the meditations. They were exploding at the seams. And the spiritual director of Rising Tide heard about us and contacted us and said, would you like our center for your women's meditations? And we went down there 2008 and became our base, if you will. And that's kind of how the retreats organically got created out of the women's meditation circle. And the important part of this whole endeavor has been the establishment of a spiritual community in Sarasota where complete and total strangers walked in the door and now consider themselves a sisterhood. The women in the meditations, there were, they call themselves the big tribe, or they have smaller tribes, and it's just expanded from there.
Patricia, is there anything you want to add to that, or did Jo answer that for both of you?
Well, there is the Healers Network.
Oh, tell us that.
All right, so that started a class in Theta Healing in, Boca Raton, I think it was, and drove down there and took the class. And it was such an amazing class. We contacted the teacher and asked her if she would come and do a session for our women. And at the time we were smaller. I'm going to say it was around 2010. And she did. And the women who attended that wanted to stay together. They wanted to continue doing the work. So we met monthly at one of the women's houses. And eventually, as time moves on, people had moved away, that different things going on in their lives, but we became an online group.
Got it.
And most of the work that we do is remote, because remote healing is exceedingly powerful. And if I have a quick chance to tell a little story.
Yes,
here.
please.
Okay, I want to just introduce you to, this is Bernice. I know. She is the healing bear. Notice chakras.
Okay.
Right?
Mala.
Okay. Yes. So I had an instructor in Healing Touch in Colorado, and she told me about remote healing, where she was working with the bear, which is just a surrogate. It's just to focus the energy. And we were in Western Colorado. Her client was in Denver. So that's about 250 miles away. So she told her client at 2 p.m., just lie on your bed and I'm going to work through the bear and send the energy. So she had the bear like this. It was 2 p.m. and I don't remember exactly where she was trying to work. It wasn't convenient. So she turned the bear around and she did this. It was easier for her. And then later, and she told her friend to just take a nap after. And she contacted her later that evening and asked her how it was. And she said, it was great, Sharon, except at the very beginning, the room spun around.
Stop it.
You cannot make this stuff up, as Jo and I say. So most of our work now is done online. People mail in or email or text or Facebook message if they have an issue that needs healing. We have the Reiki box, of course, which is present at all of the meditations, and little cards, and they're tiny little cards. Just write your name and expect the most benevolent outcome. Yeah. And we've just seen miracles happen. I just sent out a healer email just the other day with a little boy who we worked on when he was born, and he couldn't breathe. His lungs, for whatever reason, they would not expand. They would not take in air, and they thought they were going to lose him. And he went out over and over to our healer group. And the picture that his grandmother sent us shows him a happy 2-year-old, his lungs working great in front of the Christmas tree. And it was heaven. And I wanted our team to see that, to see the good.
I love
so
that.
That's another aspect of what we're doing. There's so many ways that you touch people, and so many times you have no clue that a kind act or something simple has made a difference in someone's life.
So far, we've mentioned a lot about working with women, the women's retreat, the women's circles, the meditation, the prayer, right? We're gonna segue over to where you start serving the entire community. So the next one's going to be hard to answer simple because it's such a complex story, but I will invite people who are watching this video. We have an entire playlist that is forming on your channel. I'll tag that here. Okay. And we're talking about the Sarasota City of Light, right? Did I say that right? And that story has to be shortened because of time on this video, but this is another aspect where you really started to serve the entire community with your ceremonies so I think we're going to have to bring Jo in because this is her whole dreams and all this, who opened up this next part, which so many people, by the way, want to know about this, and then the Blu-ray meditation thing that you have coming up. So we're keeping on in our beautiful interview and promise to everybody to get to all these important topics. It's going to probably be 5 videos, but hey, I know we got the audience's attention. So let's keep going. Sarasota City of Light. Jo, you are up.
In December of 2007, Jo Mooy had a prophetic dream in which light beings gave her a vision of Sarasota as a crystal city of light, one of 22 on the planet. Over 3 months' time, the dreams evolved into a detailed diagram of a prism of light situated over southwestern Florida. Further dreams revealed 9 locations that were to become points along the outline of the prism. Finally, Jo was told to gather 9 people and ask them to anchor the prism at 12 noon on the summer solstice, June 20th, 2008, when the solar rays would be at their peak. Without hesitation, each of the 9 leaders said yes.
They gathered in small groups at each point over the 65 square mile prism on the 2008 summer solstice. 350 people anchored the prism of light from Anna Maria Island in the north to Warm Mineral Springs in the south, from Mayaca State Park in the east and Siesta and Lido Keys in the west. This is a story of that remarkable event and how it was confirmed by an identically shaped crop circle in the UK. And it inspired a Crystal of Peace mandala painted by the entire community. Today, Southwest Florida is a beacon for tourists, retirees, and spiritual seekers alike. It continues to hold the high frequencies set by the prism. It seems that individuals feel the area's magnetic pull to this crystal city of light and hope.
Let's find out what's next for the Prism of Light. Here's Jo.
And that is December the 12th, 2024, which will be the final impression of the Crystal of Peace mandala, the actual crystal, and the formal, not only setting, but the release of the prism to the next generation who will take this forward. And it'll be done at Unity of Sarasota's Labyrinth. Like I said, I plan way in advance. We already reserved the Labyrinth. We've got all the people lined up who are going to participate. And Patricia got that message as clear as a bell.
Okay, so I'm making a call. Mark your calendars, people. You heard it here. If you want to be able to go, you better have it in your calendar. 12/12, it's already in mind. 12/12/24 is when we not wrap up, but it takes on a new change.
Moves to a new dimension.
There's the right words. I love that. That was amazing. And there is going to be more explanation and detail and stories that people can find right on your channel. So everything you need to know to get a hold of Patricia and Jo is going to be, this video will be on their channel and also on mine. So we'll make sure everything is in the show notes to make the connection. So where we are coming out of COVID, where we're heading, ascension. Let's get quiet and answer this beautiful question. What is a spiritual message that you have, not just for your spiritual community, but for the world at large and beyond, right? That would serve everybody right now.
I'll offer this, and I'll let Jo talk about the blue light meditations. What I want to offer is this. What you focus on, that is what you're going to get. And this is 2024. Pluto is moving out of Capricorn, finally, where it has revealed all kinds of corruption and the ugly underside. It is moving into Aquarius, and Aquarius will bring about a lot of changes, and changes can be scary, and it can be a really good thing. And you don't get rid of that, what it revealed, the ugly, without the change, and sometimes like birth. So what I'd like you to focus on is the world you want to see, not what's happening. Don't look at the headlines. I really implore you, stop reading the news, stop listening to the news, turn off your television. This isn't a Pollyanna thing. This is how you create your reality. Individually, your life is going to be a reflection of the things that you focus on. And together, what we focus on as a collective is the world that we're going to see. So I'm inviting everyone listening to this to focus on the world we want to see. Look at the good. Find the good and be grateful for it. Find the good and praise it. And remember, this is something Edgar Cayce said, there is more good in the worst of us than we can imagine. And there's more bad in the best of us than we care to admit. So focus on the good and we will see it.
I love that. Thank you, Patricia. That was absolutely beautiful. Beautiful. Jo.
Every year on the winter solstice, we'll sit quietly and just ask for guidance through one word that will guide us behaviorally or emotionally or intellectually for the coming year. And it's always a big deal for us because the winter solstice is such a vibrant time. You're going into the dark, dark times, but it's also the day when light starts to return. And we will take that word, and it governs whatever we do for the coming year. And the word can be things like patience or diligence or a resolve. And then you just have to get underneath that word. Whatever you perceive is happening or you think is happening, something greater is always going on behind that impression. And it's a greater spiritual truth and a plan for humanity, if you will. We get bogged down in the weeds of social media and whatever's on the news. Patricia's already said, I implore you, turn it off. All you need to do is read a headline. And if the headline's crazy, pass it by.
Yeah.
At the end of all of this, no matter what you think is happening, keep your sense of self and the image you want to bring forward and hold your personal light high and aloft. Because whatever you think, you will deliver it. If you're thinking it's awful, I guarantee you that's what you're going to experience. If you think it's okay and wonderful, it will be. And after all is said and done, after it's all goes by, it's all okay. It's all going to be okay. Believe that, feel it, and trust in that. That's my message.
Words to live by. Absolutely love both
And
of
do
your
it with
answers.
gratitude.
Yeah.
Do it with gratitude, because that's Patricia's practice that she's taught pretty much everybody in her circle of influence.
Yeah, agreed. I follow Patricia on Facebook and she puts up every day her gratitude practice and shares it with the world and inspires other people. And I'm living vicariously through her gratitude. It's just been wonderful. So I love that. Hey, one more question before we get to your community questions, and then we're going to wrap up our interview. So, the next question is the burning question everybody has, which is, where are you two going? Are we going to lose sight of you? Are you changing and transitioning out so that, you're handing this practice over to someone else and someone else is going to be standing up doing the work that you've been doing? Or what's going on? So take us there. We're all nervous to ask this question, but everyone in your community wanted to know what's next. What's next is Blue Light Meditations. Patricia and Jo invite you to partake in a global initiative. And you're going to watch a little video clip. And please know that all the links, if you'd like to learn more or get involved, will be in the show notes. So here's a little bit about Blue Light Meditations. Enjoy. Hello. Are you feeling just a tad blue today? Did you make the mistake of watching the news beyond the headlines? Are you looking to create more stillness and silence and spaciousness within you, but also out into the world? How would you like to commit to a 9-minute monthly practice with us as a community? We're doing this global initiative, Spiritual Connections with Jo and Patricia, invite you to join us on this beautiful endeavor to raise consciousness. Everything you need to know is in this post. So here's my question. Are you interested? We'd like to put more light in the world. And guess what? It starts with you. Bye now. You asked and we answered. You asked for a longer version for the three portals meditation. So there is now a 17-minute or a 9-minute to choose from. Let's get back to find out what's next for Jo and Patricia.
Patricia, you want to
Inquiring
start?
minds want to
Inquiring
know.
minds.
So, as far as the future, we've had to admit that doing things in person has gotten to be quite difficult, especially the nighttime meditations. So this is the final year to be meeting in person at night at rising tide. And we don't intend to abandon ship. We're just admitting to the fact that the body is wearing out a little bit, but I think that spirit will let us know when it's time to quit. And I have not seen my pink slip. Been looking.
Good.
Spirit is still saying, we've got stuff for you to do. So thanks to you, Jeannie, we have a YouTube channel and we intend to be much more active in that way. There's a place nearby here called Spirit University, and it happens to be very close to our home, and we're looking to do more things there, short classes and workshops, and there'll be daytime things, probably on weekends and that sort of thing. So no, we're not going away, and we're just kind of moving into whatever the next phase is, and however that looks, I think we're going to be guided. And obviously, because Spirit brought you to us, and there's no denying that. And you do make magic happen on YouTube when you get hold of a video.
Thank you.
We could never do that. So thank you.
Thank you for that. So Jo.
I would also say that as far as all the listeners are concerned, don't be alarmed. We are not disappearing. We're not on the next shuttle to Mars. We are staying put. We're just going to do things differently. And I will be quite honest with you. We have done the women's meditations nonstop for 18 years. It has been a ride and a joy, but we are both so energized doing things differently. We get excited about, ooh, did you see what Jeannie just put up? Ooh, how can we do this? And one of the things that's really captivating both of us, and truly almost like lit a fire, were the blue light meditations. And those are, they started in November with a small group of people, and all of them had so many experiences from it. It has grown into a global initiative. We've piggybacked on it. And as of yesterday, there are 100 people now signed up to do that blue light meditation Saturday morning with us, including 2 large groups in the UK. So these meditations are, the theme is for the raising of human consciousness, which sounds great and grandiose, but it's really a call to action that we as spiritual beings and light workers who have an awareness of what is going on this planet, we harness our energies and open doors for the return of human kindness, human love, human respect, human compassion for one another, so that we can get out of this sticky stuff that the planet has been. It's like we've been walking in this dark tar, sticky stuff for a number of years. It is time to step up and start shining lights on what we want to deliver. And these blue light meditations have become a beacon for others to do the same.
Those that can be on, Jo and I are committed to doing live every month on the second Saturday of the month at 11 a.m. And those that are able to get in, great. If not, you'll be able to see, just join us on YouTube.
Got it.
But this feels like this is going to be so powerful and empowering. You will feel like you are doing your bit.
How do people become part of your newsletter that Jo mentioned in the beginning? Is that capped off too, or you have to have a special invitation for that, or can anyone get your newsletter? That's
Anybody can get it, men, women, children. All they have to do is go to the website.
I'll put the link up right now on a show notes or on the visuals for everybody. They click on this link, it takes you out there, they sign up for the newsletter. And this is not your normal newsletter, people. I have to do a little disclaimer here that is bogging up your email and you're going to get 1,000 things from Jo. This is like you create a folder for the information coming through because it's something you would leave in your calendar printed, because there's so much valuable information in it. You do such a fabulous job. Love that. Okay. I'm going to go to the community questions that your people had that asked. There's like 5 or 6 different questions. And then we're going to end today with how you want to end. It's going to be up to you. So let's tap in. Okay. Margaret wanted to know the connection between the crystal prism of light and the blue ray. What is the connection there?
To me, it's a next step in the evolution of the prism of light, because it's taking, I didn't cover this earlier talking about the blue light, but the blue light is something that is occurring in the cosmos. They are recording it. So scientists are recording these rays of blue light that are coming in from where they do not know. And it's clear, it's blue. There's a lot on the blue light that get the newsletter. It's more explained there, but Margaret, you know what the prism of light was. This is the next step, because you become part of the prism of light reflecting blue rays outward into your circle of influence. And that's pretty much, it's an organic activation of your blue light out into your community.
Got it. Sarah Fleener had a question. Sarah Fleener has this beautiful little child who is like all of the light, very awake, very conscious. And she's wondering, help me, how do I parent a child in today's world?
I think parents of today have a unique opportunity to talk to these little kids that are coming in now. They are generation, I think they're betas. If she's got a 2-year-old, he's generation B. And these children are coming in with resident knowledge of the spiritual world. Now, every child, usually by the time they get to 7 or 8, what the Catholics used to call the age of reason, they start to, the veil sort of comes down and they stop remembering. I would encourage Sarah, first of all, to record or write down whatever her 2-year-old is telling her about the other side. But allow these children out into nature so they can connect back with nature spirits, because that will ground them as they go forward. Parenting, I think parenting is probably a difficult thing. I've seen parents act like helicopter moms. They hover around the children, and the children, as they grow up, can't function. I was telling Patricia, I just saw something yesterday where interviewers are talking about Gen Z bringing mom or dad to interviews with them. This generation B is a whole different animal. These are the kids that are going to change what we're doing with blue light meditations. They are inheriting that energy because they are the age of Aquarius. They are going to build the collective human experience, and they will carry a generational impact out into, I think it's 2048 that Pluto is in Aquarius for that long a period of time. So if Sarah asks that question, just stand by, give your baby as much guidance as you can, along with permission to explore and learn from him.
Great
because
advice.
they're the ones teaching us right now.
Great advice. Okay, so a question for both of you. Who are your role models?
Wow, I didn't even see that question.
Role models.
This is from Nancy. Wants to
Okay.
know who a role model is for each of you.
Roy Eugene Davis was a role model. He comes from the lineage of Paramahansa Yogananda. And for me, I don't know if Nancy is looking for current role models, but my role model in the lineage of Yogananda is Sri Yukteswar, who was a disciplinarian, but in the practice of the four practice pillars of yoga. You have karma yoga, you have bhakti yoga, which is devotional, karma is action, you have jhana, which is knowledge, and raja, which is the reaching for the sublime, the ultimate. He was a jhana yoga master without peer. And the things that he taught Yogananda live in me. And it's like peeling back the onion. You know what? Oh, maybe I shouldn't do this. I wonder what Yukteswar said about that.
Got it.
So
Got it.
he's a role model.
Got it. Patricia.
Different role models in different times of life. My mother was a role model for me, and different teachers were role models for me. But like Jo, when that book fell off the shelf, Yogananda became a spiritual role model to me. And one of the teachers that I had in Colorado said that he had only one job, and that was to lead me to the teacher within. So as you progress along the path, that has to be your role model. You go within. And the greatest and most important advice you will get for you personally on the journey you're on will be from the role model of you, of your inner self and your higher self. So that is an important thing, to take time daily to commune with your role model.
I love that. So beautiful.
Jeannie, let me add one
Sure.
other thing.
Sure.
Because Patricia just triggered something. That same teacher in Colorado who said that to her also said his teacher told him, when you live your life on this planet, leave it vibrating at a higher rate than you came in. So do your best in all endeavors.
Did I forget anything? When you knew I was going to interview you today and you wanted to make sure things got said, did everything get said? Or what would you like to leave us with as a closing remark so we can wrap this up and get people back to their day?
I think that for myself, we've covered just about everything. But in closing, I would like to ask everyone who's listening to just close your eyes just for a moment and just breathe. I don't know if you know, but just closing your eyes for a few seconds, that changes your brain waves out of beta, which is our day-to-day anxiety-driven pattern, and moves you into the alpha state. Just closing your eyes, you're more relaxed. And now imagine a peaceful thing, like a beautiful sunset, or a walk in a beautiful park-like setting, or maybe glancing at someone very special in your life. And now say thank you. And you can open your eyes, and you have just taken a short meditative break. Do this often during your day and see if it doesn't help you find more balance in your life.
Thank you, Patricia. That's beautiful. Jo.
Well, there was a 13th century mystic named Julian of Norwich. And she said she had a divine experience where the light appeared to her, and it came with this message: all is well, all manner of things are well, and all shall be well. Just remember that.
Thank you, everybody. All the show notes will have all of our links connecting you to these two amazing women. Don't forget to follow both of the channels that this video will be on. This is the way we get to tell the algorithms that we want to be seen by more people to put more light in the world. So that is truly the intention of both of our channels. So thank you both for your time today. Thank the audience for staying clicked in. We'll see you all next video.
And thank you, Jeannie, for all the work you do on behalf of so many.
Yay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. My friends call me Patricia.
Yes.
Never Pat. So I want to invite you as well.